The rain did not start as a storm. It began as a whisper, a gentle tapping against the rusted corrugated iron of the roof. For Hazel, a young calico mother, navigating the harsh realities of the streets, this high vantage point had seemed like the perfect sanctuary. Far above the stray dogs, the loud engines, and the unpredictable footsteps of the city, the narrow gutter was supposed to be a cradle. She had carefully, painstakingly, carried her fragile babies up here, one by one, their tiny bodies dangling from her gentle jaws. She had nestled them among the dry, crisp, autumn leaves that had gathered in the metal trough, believing she had finally found a safe haven. But the streets are unforgiving, and nature is a fickle friend. As the whisper of rain turned into a deafening roar, the sanctuary quickly became a trap. The leaves, once a soft bed, turned into a thick, muddy paste, clogging the downspout. The gutter was no longer a cradle. It was becoming a river. Hazel shivered, her tricolor fur vibrant patches of white, orange, and gray, now plastered flat against her slender, trembling body. She curled herself into a tight crescent, using every ounce of her body heat to shield the tiny squeaking bundles beneath her. They were so small, completely blind to the world, relying solely on the rhythm of her heartbeat and the warmth of her skin. The cold was biting, seeping through her wet fur and chilling her to the bone. Every strike of lightning illuminated her wide, terrified, yellowish-green eyes. The thin black outline around her pink lips was pulled tight in distress. She peered over the edge of the gutter. The ground was impossibly far away, distorted by the torrential downpour and the swirling mist. It was a dizzying drop into an abyss of darkness. There was no way down, not with them. She paced the narrow stretch of the gutter, her bare paws slipping on the slick, rusted metal. The water was rising, pooling around her feet, inching closer to her helpless litter. Panic, raw and primal, began to claw at her chest. She picked up one of her kittens, its tiny white body shivering violently, and approached the edge again. She looked down, her maternal instinct fighting a desperate war against gravity and despair. She could not do it. A fall from this height would be fatal. She retreated, laying the kitten back into the shallowest part of the murky water, her heart breaking with every pathetic cry they made. She was their protector, their entire world, and she was failing. She tilted her head back to the relentless sky and let out a silent cry, a plea swallowed entirely by the thunder. Hours bled into one another. The night seemed endless, a cold, dark eternity. Hazel's strength was fading. The constant shivering was exhausting, and her energy reserves were dangerously low. She closed her eyes, resting her chin on the edge of the metal, just focusing on breathing, on keeping the tiny white bodies beneath her alive for just one more minute. And then, a shift in the darkness. A beam of harsh, artificial light cut through the sheet of rain, sweeping across the brick wall of the house, catching the glint of the rusted roof. Footsteps. Heavy, deliberate footsteps splashing through the puddles far below. Hazel's ears flattened against her head. Her primal fear of humans surged, battling the exhaustion. Was this a new threat? The light danced erratically before finally locking onto the gutter. It blinded her for a moment, and she shrank back, her orange and gray striped tail wrapping protectively around her kittens. Through the roar of the rain, she heard a sound that made her heart pound. The metallic clank of an aluminum ladder striking the side of the house. With every scrape of a boot against a metal rung, A towering silhouette grew closer. Hazel hissed, a weak, desperate sound, her body tense and ready to defend her family to the last breath. The light grew brighter, and then a face appeared over the edge of the roof. A human. But there was no sudden movement, no loud shouts, just a steady, calming presence. A large, warm hand reached out, moving with a deliberate slowness. Hazel shrank back, pressing herself against the cold house wall. But the hand did not grab her. It hovered, offering a scent that was not danger, but help. The human spoke in a low, soothing rhythm. The words meant nothing to her, but the tone was a lifeline thrown into a turbulent sea. The hand gently bypassed her, reaching for the shivering white bundles. Every instinct screamed at her to bite, to scratch, to protect. But as she watched the human carefully lift her babies, tucking them safely inside a dry, waterproof jacket, something inside Hazel yielded. She was so tired. The fight drained out of her, replaced by a terrifying, absolute surrender. When the hands returned for her, scooping her up from the freezing water, she did not resist. She buried her wet face into the thick fabric of the rescuer's coat, the sudden, overwhelming warmth making her close her eyes. The terrifying descent down the ladder was a blur, overshadowed by the rhythmic beating of the human heart against her cheek. The world shifted from freezing chaos to a bizarre, quiet warmth. The air no longer bit at her skin. It enveloped her like a thick blanket. She was placed into a spacious, dry area. The harsh scent of rain and wet asphalt was replaced by the clean, unfamiliar smells of a rescue station. Towels, soft and heated, were gently rubbed against her fur, absorbing the chill that had settled deep in her bones. For the first time in what felt like a lifetime, she stopped shivering. But fear still lingered in her bright green eyes. She huddled in the corner of the enclosure, sniffing the air, watching warily as the humans moved around. And then, she heard it. The tiny, unmistakable mewling. A small bed was placed in front of her, and inside, completely dry and moving with renewed energy, were her babies. Hazel practically threw herself into the bed. She frantically licked their fluffy white heads, smelling them, counting them, confirming the impossible truth. They were alive. They were safe. A small bowl was slid quietly into her space. The rich, savory aroma of wet food hit her nose, making her stomach ache with sudden, fierce hunger. She looked at the humans who had stepped back, giving her space. With cautious, silent steps, she approached the bowl. The first bite was a revelation. It was the taste of survival, of a tomorrow she did not think she would see. As she ate, the tension that had coiled tight in her muscles for days finally began to unwind. The exhausted mother returned to her kittens, curled around them in a perfect protective circle. And for the first time, a deep, rumbling purr vibrated in her chest. It was a song of gratitude, a lullaby of safety. Time in the station became a gentle blur of healing. The matted, dirty fur gave way to a soft, clean coat that proudly displayed her beautiful calico markings. The prominent white fur on her chest was spotless once more. She watched her kittens grow from fragile, dependent creatures into playful, curious little explorers. The humans here were not to be feared. They brought food. They brought soft touches behind the ears. They brought a security she had never known. But a cage, no matter how kind, is not a home. The transition happened on a day filled with bright golden light. She was placed in a carrier, a brief moment of anxiety, before being released into a vast, new world. The air here smelled of clean laundry, indoor plants, and a deep, abiding peace. Her paws sank into a plush carpet instead of cold metal or hard floors. Sunbeams stretched across the floor, inviting and warm. Hazel cautiously explored this new territory, her nose twitching, her ears upright to catch every subtle sound. There were no harsh noises, no looming threats. In the center of the living room, near a large window overlooking a quiet garden, sat a plush, round bed. It was bathed in the late afternoon sun. She walked over, sniffing the soft fabric, before stepping in and turning a slow circle. She lay down, stretching her slender legs out, feeling the golden heat soak into her fur. Her kittens, now robust and full of mischievous energy, tumbled past her, chasing a stray dust mote in the sunlight. Hazel rested her chin on her paws, her eyes half closed in absolute contentment. The harrowing memory of the cold, flooded gutter felt like a distant nightmare, a shadow chased away by the brilliant light of this new life. She had fought against the impossible, driven by a love so fierce it had defied the storm. And now, the battle was over. The journey from the brink of tragedy had led them here, to a place where survival was no longer a daily struggle, but where life could simply be lived. This was more than a rescue. It was a rebirth, a testament to the quiet, unyielding power of a mother's heart and the profound grace of a second chance. Every purr that now rumbled through her chest was a promise that the storms were behind them and only